Okay, I've redrawn these to a little bit more detail. Let me start with this. I can. I got to see what I'm pointing at. This is a 5 gallon bucket. This is a camping toilet. Like I said, I'm not doing the RV life, so this is just kind of what I've seen from other people put here on YouTube. You can find these buckets. A lot of food places, a lot of restaurants will have these buckets where you can actually get the lid, where they're just tossing them. Like they'll ship pickles and other food items in food grade plastic. Where you just find these buckets with the lids on them. And what you can do, if I can show this, I don't know if I can. You take the lid and cut it. Cut a round hole in there. You take you can you can either if you can find a tossed toilet seat, you can just bolt that down to the lid. Or you just have a regular toilet seat in there. You'd want the hole just a little bit bigger than the toilet seat. But anyway, you bolt that down, and you put a small liner in there. Um, Now, if you Amazon sells these seats, they've got them 4 or 5 gallon buckets from about $12 to about $30. I saw the number. They've got the liners made for this particular purpose. Now, when you're done, well, there's a couple of things you do. You have another bucket with sand or a little bit of dirt. You just shovel a little bit of sand or dirt on top of what you got in there, just so it kind of it doesn't represent a problem. You know what I mean? Um, I wouldn't mess with kitty litter. Now, something that and I did got from Wonder Hussy, one of her videos. Now she had what she called a Baudet bottle. It's just a little squirt bottle. Now I'd say you can get them on Amazon. They're $6 or $8. But what I'd say you can get the little spray bottles that you pump, those pump spray bottles. You can get like those like in the dollar store for $1. Now you have one, but it's got a real mild soap solution in there. Now after you've done your business on this camping toilet, you just use the mild soap solution. Wash yourself off. For chicks, you got to do both sides, and for guys, just to one side. Uh, but anyway, you use the mild soap solution. You can kind of let that drip in the bucket, or if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you can kind of dig a hole, and the same thing. You just use a mild soap solution, and then once that's done its business, you use the water, the squirt bottle with just water in there, and then you'll kind of air dry for a few minutes until that's air dry. Then you can go back about your business. Now let me show this. This is a 12 volt. You can buy these off Amazon. It's a 12 volt evaporative cooler. Now I don't believe these have a float in there. I believe they're made to just made to sit on a table, and then you periodically dump water in there as they run out. Now you can hang these on a window, outside an RV. They're not going to cool a big area because they're not very big, but they're going to cool a small area. Like if you have one just over a bed, where you're going to sleep there, or like if you're going to have kitchen table in the middle and just want to read a book or set a laptop and do editing or something. Now what you have to do, you can I don't know, it's kind of hard to see here, but you add a regular evaporative cooler float in there, and then you run it up to a tank on top of a roof. What you'd have to do is put it on the roof empty, and hook your setup up. You don't you don't have this setup when you're driving down the road. Once you're going to set in a place that's warm enough just to need it, you set up a tank. You go up there with a couple 1 gallon jugs. You just fill this, then let this gravity feed down to the float. You hang this in a window, and then when you're driving down the road, you have all this sitting, just sitting inside. So you have a gravity fed water system for it. Now I actually hooked one of these up for a lady. The lady had one set up with it's a little bit bigger cooler. She just set out in the desert out in front of it. She had a solar panel tank, and she got like a 50 gallon water tank, and we just run a water line and let it gravity feed it. It actually worked pretty good. But let me show you this. If I can show you this BMS board. Now, if you can see this, this is I got a holder for 4 18650s. I'm going to show you that in a second. You have the 18650s in a holder. You got a BMS board, and you charge that from a 12 volt source. A transformer, solar cells or whatever. You feed that off to load. Load can be an evaporative cooler, be light bulbs, be a fridge. Now I'm going to show you a 40 amp board that I've got a handful of these, different I've never set anything up. Sometime I need to get all these boards. Now that's a 40 amp it's a 40 amp BMS board, battery management board. Now Amazon has got these like 3 or 4 40 amp boards for about $20. They've got from about 6 amps to maybe 100, 120 amps, something like that, depending upon what you're going to do with them. These are all relatively inexpensive. Like I said, Amazon has got these for $20 or something like that. Now, this is a holder. I've got one 18650 in there. This is a holder for 4 18650s. This is made for 3 or 4 will charge 12 volts. If that 40 amp one, I'd probably want to have about 4 of these hooked up in parallel, so I'd have plenty of capacity to I've got some ideas on what I just sometimes I need to sit down and figure out what I'm going to hook up and just wire these up, make a power supply. Like if the lights go off here, I can have an inverter in there and just run lights and TV and stuff from this inverter. But anyway, like I said, that's the average Jane or Joe is not going to be able to do that, but somebody that's got some basic electronic skills can be able to do that. Okay, let's keep life interesting and exciting. Love y'all. Some chick wants to do an overnighter with me someplace interesting around here. Someplace within 100 miles of here, let me know. More than likely you're not, and I'm not going to lose any sleep over it if some chick doesn't. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.